Mike, and welcome back to the Hangar Hideout. Today, we're doing gauges and stuff. Here we are today. We tuned the car best we could with what we got, and now it's time to throw a wideband in here. Now, everyone you know and their grandma usually has a wideband in their car. Some for use, some because like blinking lights look really cool and they see the number go around. I'm not judging you. Like, I've seen Fast and Furious and bright lights are pretty cool, so keep doing what you're doing, man. So I wanted to get this puppy in there so we could finally log my air fuel. And we could do a little bit more tuning. Yeah, wide open throttle and hone this puppy in because it still doesn't run totally right. It runs good enough for me. I'm a simple kind of guy. Enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about this gauge, huh? Today I'm going to be installing this Innovate wideband, and it actually has a lot more goodies. So the reason why I went with this is because it does wideband, it does boost, and it does shift lights. And if you watched me racing on like 2 episodes ago, you'll notice that I probably need a shift light because I don't know when the heck to shift. I wish shifts were everywhere. So this thing's really gonna help us. Let's address the elephant in the room. I said 3 things right there. 2 are really cool, but one of them, the boost. I got it for a boost gauge. And if you could see in there, it's still not boosted. It should have been boosted by now. I wanna get it in there beforehand. And a guy like me, I'm so simple. I hate the look of changing the interior. I like when it's simple. It's hard enough for me to put in a gauge. I try to hide them in like the air ducts or a cup holder. So going with a pillar gauge was already a big step for me out of my comfort zone. You may not be able to tell by how I dress, but I mean, in the summer, I'm just a plain Jane guy. I want me some jean shorts, some New Balance, no fluff. Just leave it at that. So 3-in-1 gauge means less gauges. So for the installation today, we got to put in that pillar. We got to route that wideband bung, which is going to be on the drive. We put it on the driver's side header. We got to fish that through, and we got to find a way to get the wires back into the car, which I think we're just going to drill a hole. There's like a place in this wheel well here that'll get us right by that dead pedal. Then we got to wire to power, ground, and then we got to find like a tack signal wire. That'll be fun. And we'll just see how it goes. Follow along or don't. Quite honestly, I hate electrical work. It is not my favorite thing to do. So let's go over what you actually get. Instructions, you need them because I'm dumb. And speaking of dumb, I think their catchphrase is knowledge is horsepower. If that's true, I don't think this car's ever gonna run because I am lacking in that department. But what else we got? We got our gauge. So it's pretty cool. Again, boost, you get your air fuel and a shift light. So I think this little orange guy lights up. So you have your connector. This goes to your wideband, your OBD, or your OBD2. This goes to your oxygen sensor. And then these guys are gonna be your power, your 12 volt switch volt, your ground, they have a white cable. This one is a dimmer, which I'm not gonna use, because again, Fast and Furious, we just want bright lights in our face because that's cool. I know this purple guy is gonna be for the tack, for the shift light. So we're gonna have to find something to tap into. And then these other 2 guys, one goes to something that I'll show you, and the other one goes to the map sensor. So here is the O2 sensor. So this guy is gonna plug into what I am gonna show you here in a second. And this guy is what we're gonna have to drill through and get through the car. So not small, but not huge. It's gonna be a good size.
That's what she said.
This big old relay is kind of cool. So this actually connects up to the boost controller, which I don't have boost, let alone a boost controller. Not to mention, it's gonna be supercharged, so my boost controller is gonna be a pulley. So I'm just not even gonna use this. It's cool though, and I'll probably keep it. Who knows what I'll be able to use it for. Then we have our map sensor. So this guy, I'm still going to install and just get it ready for when I have boost, which will be in, I don't know, a couple of months or so. So I'm gonna get this guy prepared, and then it has some accessories to go along with it. So we have T-fitting, so once we have the vacuum line that we could tap into, we could use that puppy. You have your different face, your bezel, and this guy is so we can log our data. So I'm gonna have to make sure to put this in a place that it's accessible. Let's start, shall we? So for the first step, I'm gonna take off this tire, and then we're gonna take off some of these panels here just to catch a glimpse at where our hole is gonna need to go. And then I also need to find where the O2 sensor is that I zip tied up and hid up here, knowing I would do this soon. I don't really remember where I zip tied it, so we gotta go searching for it. This is the panel I'm gonna take off. I don't know how many there are. There's a lot of bolts, and there's a few on the bottom. So let's take this off and let's see what we're working with. And then we could go digging for that O2 sensor I zip tied somewhere. 3. There were 3 at the bottom. Don't worry, this is the clutch bleeder. It's not like a missing part. Okay, now you guys are under my car, and I found where I zip tied the O2 sensor, which is right here. So the bung is down here somewhere. Oh yeah, this is melted plastic because the first time I did it, I did a poopy job. So we got to get this connector, and it's got to go around here, up here, and it's got to go into there. I think the hole we're going to drill is going to be, I don't know, around here somewhere. So I'm going to go in the car and start taking some of that stuff out so we could get a better picture of where it's going to end up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take off this footrest, dead pedal, whatever you want to call it. It looks like it's just 2 nuts. You got one right here, and then you got one up there. You can't miss it. Okay, you're going to see something reoccurring here, and that's leaves. I'm in the Midwest, and I basically live in a forest, and I can't avoid these leaves. So they're literally just everywhere. Garage, in the car. Don't worry, I'm going to vacuum. Okay, I see that there's an entrance right up here, right there, and that is for the hood latch. However, that hole's really small, and I'll show you what we got to get through. So we've got to get this guy through, and that is not going to fit through that hole. So I think I'm just going to go back under, find where that is, and drill right next to it. So I'm going to drill a hole. It's super thin plastic back here. So I'm just going to drill a hole and then use a step-up bit. Okay, well, I'm going to do my best to show you where I drilled. You can't really see, but I drilled right here. And where the hood wires come in is right up here. So what's nice is it's going to be pointing that way, so I'm not going to have to make a hard bend. And it's a flat surface. Not to mention it's going to be like right next to the dead pedal. You're not really going to be able to see it. So the only problem is room. How are we gonna use a step up with this guy here? And I have a little bit of a solution. Okay, so my possible solution is normally I use a step up bit like this. This could do like literally everything. But I also have a thinner one like this. So this one fits on this guy, which is gonna be a little more compact than my drill. And we're just gonna see if it works. Okay. Actually, I'm an idiot. Forget what I just said. And I don't have to tell you that I'm an idiot. You should already know that. I'm just going to use the step-up bit on the inside. It's going to be a little messy, but boy, it's going to be easier. So I'm going to do it that way. It's going to be hard to film, so hopefully you could see it. Well, I made a huge mess, but messes can be cleaned. So what you can't see here, let me show you. We got our hole right there, which goes to the outside world. And don't worry, that in that area right there, it's all dry. No water's really gonna get in there. I'm gonna clean up that hole a little bit, and let's go ahead and try to fish our wire through. Okay, now that the hole is drilled, and good news, it fits. Also, if you're wondering, I don't have like a file, so I just wrapped sandpaper around a 3/8 extension. Worked like a charm. So now that that fits, it's good. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to start taking apart some of these panels for two reasons. One, we're gonna have to fish the cable up here, and it's gonna have to reside here. And also to get power and hit the tack, we're gonna have to go over. So there's, I think, an unused clip in the passenger side, which I'm gonna double check before we do it. But we're gonna have to climb over there to go ahead and get power and ground. Plastic tools. You guys remember Dr. Dills? He'd be really proud of me right now. All right, so in addition to those two screws, we got two more here and behind that little vent thing. You can't see it, but it's right next to where you put the key. You pop that sucker off, you got another screw in there. I don't remember if you need to do these, but I'm gonna do them anyways because they're easy. You know, I think I'm gonna pop this out just to be safe. So I seem to be stuck here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take this out, which I just pop this off, open this puppy up, pop this out. There's two nuts right there. That's also what she said. Okay, well, I did a bit much off camera, but all I did was take out like the whole center console. And you had two bolts that went in right there, and then two screws. One was right there, and then the other one was right here. And then all you do is just lift it up. So I'm not really gonna take everything fully out. All I wanted was to have access to down here. So this is where the oxygen sensor is going to come down right here. And then we're going to have to feed the wire over here, under here, and over to that side, which is dark. You can't see that. So what I'm going to do is plug in the O2 sensor. Now that that's good, I'm going to fish that up, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, I'm gonna take this A-pillar off next, and it's super easy. There's just like a couple of clips, and I'm gonna show you the easy way. I just use my plastic little hooker tool, and I get it under here, and are you ready for this? You literally just pull. Done. That was it. All right, now that we have the A-pillar off, I got my cover. I got the full one. You could get one that's just like a couple inches, but I think the full one looks better, so I got it. All you do is put it right on top of it, which it should fit right in if you want the right one. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna drill a couple of holes. So I'm gonna do like the four corners. I'm gonna do it here, 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 and here. The kit I got came with these little plugs to stick them together. But I don't know if you've ever tried to get these off once they're on. It just doesn't work. So it may not look super pretty. I think I'm gonna use zip ties. Now, before I put this back in, I wanna get the gauge ready. Now, I'm gonna have to extend the wires a little bit to reach the passenger side. So let's go ahead and do that before we actually install it in here. Okay, now for the power and ground, we're gonna go on the passenger side behind this little compartment. I already took it off, but it's literally just two little flip switches. And if you look up top here, there's gonna be I think it's a yellow, orange, and a black. It's gonna be right up here. Also, mine's gonna look a little bit different because I have that like pull key wait 10 seconds bullshit fix. I'm sure people are probably going to ask me what it is. I don't remember. I could try to remember if enough people ask. But there's going to be an unused clip right here. It's going to be just electrical duct taped off. This is what we're going to use to get power and ground. So I'm going to disconnect this connector. I'm going to bring it back to the gauge, and I'm going to solder these things back together, plug it in, and then we'll be good to finish the install. This is what we're working with. So we have a couple of wires here. We have the black, which is ground. White is going to be that like dimmer switch, which I'm not going to use. So I'm actually going to tie these two together. We have red, which is going to be our power. Yellow does something that I'm not going to do. And purple is tack. So I'm going to need about 4 or 5 feet on this because, again, we're going to go from the A-pillar over to the passenger side. If we overshoot it a little bit, that's totally okay. I'd rather have more than less. So I'm going to twist these puppies together. And unfortunately, I only have this nice bigger gauge wire. So I'm going to use this, but it's already stripped. If you don't already have yourself some of these, I recommend getting them. They make life so much easier, and you work smarter, not harder. It's the one time I can say I'm really smart. Here is that connector, that unused connector that was taped off. I already stripped it. These things were super sticky from like that duct tape. I don't know if every car is duct tape. It's weird. But we have a black, we have a yellow, and an orange. So black is going to go to ground. Yellow is going to go to power. Orange is going to play with itself because I don't really know what that one does. So we're not going to use it. I got this wired up to that plug. I got the plug plugged in. I have nothing like routed because I just want to see if it works. So fingers crossed. It works. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, well now we know that it powers on, so we could connect the O2 sensor, and yeah, we can then connect the map sensor, and we can connect the tach. We gotta still find the tach wire. Let's go ahead and get this puppy installed now that I know that it works. All right, well, I am all done, ready to button it back up. So we got the gauge installed. Looks all pretty, it works. I even got the tach wired up, which I will show you. So I got all the cables routed down through there. I know, not like super pretty, but I don't care. So I got everything routed down here through the little channel over here. I've got the map sensor. Down here is where all the cables are kind of wound up. It kind of looks hectic, but again, that dead pedal is going to be there. Now for the power and the ground, it's this white cable here. I just kind of zip tied it and I threw it up and over and I put it down here on the edge, which you can't really see in there, but I kind of pushed it down and then plugged it on in the passenger well, which I already got that cleaned up. For those of you who are also doing a shift light, this is where you're gonna find your tach signal wire. So starting out here, if you come on down over here, let me get the flashlight. If you pull this wire loom down here, there's going to be about 4 white wires, sorry. One of them is a little like discolored. It's not super white, and that's the one that is for your tach. I know it's not super explanatory, but hey, it worked for me. There's 4 wires, take a pick, and that's what mine looks like. I also have to re-tape that up. I'm not going to leave it bare like that. Lastly, I did get the map sensor installed. I just put it right there because, again, we have no boost. So that map sensor is not really going to be used, but it will later. Well, the install is fully complete. For the O2 sensor, for that connector, I just wrapped it with high temperature tape just in case. Let's show you guys what it looks like. So you have a whole lot of options. You could change it to boost, which we don't have boost yet. We will sooner or later. You could change that. You could do your peaks. Now, my favorite thing is this orange guy right here lights up. So I have it set really low just to test it, but I'll start it just so you could see what it looks like. Yeah, So unfortunately, it's wintertime here in the Midwest, so it's gonna be a couple of months before I could give you a review, but this looks really cool. I'm super excited because it's a bunch of gauges in one. Now, we do see that gaping hole over there. That's gonna be fuel pressure. That's why I did zip tie, so I could pull it back down and change it as I go. Well, I think that is gonna be it for today's episode. Thanks for watching today's episode.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
It's free. It's easy. All it takes is like that much effort.
And while you're doing that effort, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date whenever we post a new episode. So, we'll see you on the next episode.
And as always, thanks for hiding out. Is that a good one?
That was a good one.